I transmigrated into the villainous male supporting character in a novel. However, I couldn't change any of the plot because by the time I arrived the story had already reached its conclusion. It caused the male protagonist to lose his opportunity to take the college entrance exam, and as a result, I was forced to kneel by my two older sisters. My eldest sister Anya hit me harshly with a stick. She said, "Kneel and kowtow 1,000 times before you can get up." My second sister Emmy threw a bottle of pesticide at me. She said, "People like you who are so vile deserve to die." To their surprise, the next moment I sneered and immediately gulped the entire bottle of pesticide down. Both of my sisters were so frightened their faces turned pale. They asked, "Are you crazy? Why are you drinking it like a beverage?" Chapter 1. I knelt on the ground, my exposed skin covered in wounds and bruises. My eldest sister Anya spoke in an eerily cold tone. "Apologize to Kenji right now or just die." Kenji quickly said pitifully, "Eldest sister, second sister, don't go and hit Daisuke because of me. I only lost my college entrance exam opportunity. I can repeat the year or even work part-time. It's fine." These words only made my two sisters angrier. They were probably furious because they felt sorry for Kenji. Emmy, wearing high heels, ruthlessly kicked me in the stomach. She said, "Apologize to Kenji now." I sneered and looked at the bottle of pesticide in front of me. So this was what it felt like to be an NPC, being treated like this by my own sisters. I picked up the pesticide bottle, twisted the cap off, and drank it all in one go. "Ah, what are you doing?" Emmy screamed in fright, her face turning white. Even Anya, who was usually calm, was now flustered. She panicked. "Are you insane? How could you actually drink it?" My vision became increasingly blurry, and I thought, what's there to be afraid of? The original character in this world was a vicious NPC who was destined to die. I remember the original text saying that he died here. It was just a suicide by stabbing, but now that I've drunk the pesticide, it shouldn't affect his outcome, right? Chapter 2. But I was wrong. I didn't die after all. The pesticide seller, in order to make money, had replaced the poison with watered-down pesticide. At that moment, the seller was still holding some fruit in his hand, flocking his chest, and saying, "My God, thank goodness I swapped the real pesticide with the watered-down version, otherwise I'd have to pay you for my pants." Emmy, standing beside me, looked like she had just cried, her eyes red. She said, "I was just joking with you. How could you really drink it, Daisuke? When did you become so fragile?" The original character wasn't fragile at all. After all, he was a villainous NPC responsible for framing the male protagonist in the story, and his ending was always death. The male protagonist was Kenji. Not long ago, the original character had poisoned his food with a laxative to prevent him from taking the college entrance exam. But halfway through, the original character had switched the food out of fear, replacing it with normal food. Yet Kenji still couldn't take the exam because of the diarrhea. This could only mean he was pretending. Emmy asked, "Why aren't you saying anything?" She walked over, and to my surprise, there was a hint of concern in her eyes. In the story, I'd always enjoyed tormenting her, so she hated me with a passion. As we grew up, she had always targeted me. She was a teacher at our school and would often accuse me of cheating, which caused me to get beaten by my parents. I didn't want to talk to her right now. I was only thinking about how to die. After all, the original character died today. Only when I die will I be able to return to my own world. She said, "Speak to me." Emmy grabbed my hand, trying to force me to speak. I shoved her hard, sending her crashing to the ground. "Ow!" Anya shouted. "What are you doing?" Anya suddenly appeared and rushed over, slapping me hard. She said, "Who told you to push Emmy?" This was the original character's eldest sister. She had always been a quiet person, indifferent to me. Only after we grew up did she start treating me a little better, but that kindness didn't last long, fading once Kenji came into the picture. Kenji was the adopted son of my parents, and ever since he arrived, the whole family favored him, probably because of the male protagonist's halo he carried. Chapter 3. Anya scolded me. "Daisuke, he just caused Kenji to lose his chance to take the college entrance exam, and now you've pushed your second sister. You're hopeless." She glared at me angrily. I felt a wave of anger for the original character when I saw her. The original character had desperately tried to gain her gentle affection. He would make her breakfast every day, wash her clothes, and clean her shoes. But what did she do? She would make him kneel and accept punishment. With a loud thud, I shoved her hard against the door. I cursed, "What do you think you are? How dare you speak to me like that? Brother, how could you treat Big Sis like this?" Kenji suddenly appeared at the door. Seeing him standing there, looking so smug, I felt irritated. I really didn't understand how someone like him became the male protagonist. I got out of bed and slapped him hard. I said, "Who are you, an outsider, to talk here?" I couldn't be bothered to deal with him anymore and left immediately. I wanted to die. I just wanted to die. So I went to the rooftop. It was 20 floors high, and jumping off would definitely kill me. I closed my eyes, preparing to jump, when I was suddenly pulled back by some unseen force. I fell to the ground, and a girl appeared in front of me. Her face was small, only the size of a palm, but her eyes were large, full of light. She said, "Daisuke, don't die." Her voice was filled with urgency. Chapter 4. I tried hard to recall who this person was, and then I remembered. She was just one of the original character's classmates named Ryo. She was more transparent than an NPC, barely noticeable in the story. She only had one line, asking the original character to bring her some breakfast. At this moment, Ryo was tightly holding my hand, afraid that I might still jump off the building. She said, "The world is still beautiful. We've just finished the college entrance exam and we'll be going to university soon. Life will definitely be happy then, so you must stay alive." I really wanted to say, "What does this have to do with me?" But there was a force inside me as if it were stopping me. In the end, the only word I could say was, "Okay." She immediately smiled and said, "That's good. You must remember my words. I heard you were sick today. I'm so glad I came to see you. Or you really might have done something irrational. Don't pay attention to how your big sister and second sister treat you. There are people in this world who like you, not just them." I nodded vaguely, not fully understanding. She took my hand and led me downstairs step by step. She took me to a beef noodle shop downstairs. She added double the beef for me. She said, "Life is about eating good food and having fun. These days, that's true happiness." I held the steaming bowl of beef noodles, about to respond to her, when suddenly a figure charged toward me, knocking the beef noodles out of my hands. The hot soup splashed all over my pants. I looked up to see Anya's cold face in front of me. She said, "I knew you were pretending to drink pesticides. It's just too coincidental that the pesticide was watered down. Daisuke, do you think by using such methods you can make your big sister and second sister feel sorry for you? I'll tell you, this will only make me hate you more." Next second, Ryo shouted, "Don't believe Daisuke." Ryo stood in front of me. I looked at the beef and noodles on my pants and slowly pushed Ryo aside, glaring at Anya. With a loud smack, I threw the beef and noodles at her perfectly made-up face. I yelled, "Didn't your mother teach you not to interrupt when someone is eating?" Smack! Another large clump of beef landed on her face. She took a step back, looking at me in disbelief. Big sister, if you come at me again, next time I'll pour sulfuric acid on your face." Daisuke. She was so enraged she nearly exploded. I smirked and expertly tossed a piece of beef into her mouth. I said, "Can't even shut that mouth with some beef?" Anya was screaming in rage. I had always hated this cold big sister while reading this tormenting novel. After all, she often mistreated the original character because of Kenji. She made me give in to Kenji every time. Even the scholarship I had worked so hard to get was taken by her to buy Kenji a guitar. Chapter 5. On the way back from sending Ryo home, she suddenly asked, "Make sure to change your clothes when you get home. Don't wear wet clothes." I nodded. Don't worry. Even if I were stupid, I had figured out the relationship between her and the original character. She said, "Daisuke, I feel like you've changed. You wouldn't have treated your big sister like that before." Ryo said this suddenly with an inquisitive look in her eyes. I smiled and said, "People have to grow up." The original character was supposed to be dead, and now I was helping him live on. As long as I was alive, every second of it would make sure he wouldn't suffer. After saying goodbye to Ryo, I went home and saw Emmy sitting on the couch as if waiting for me. I thought she was about to scold me, so I planned to ignore her and go to my room to figure out a way to end things. To my surprise, she suddenly called out to me, "Brother, I want to talk to you." I turned around in surprise. "Brother?" She actually called me brother. After a brief moment of astonishment, I spoke. "Go ahead," she said. "I bought the pesticide so you couldn't have made the seller tamper with it. I know you really wanted to commit suicide today. I want to know why." Finally, there was a normal person in this story. But so what? In the plot, she had already driven the original character to his death. I chuckled and said, "How funny. Can't you figure it out? They've targeted the original character repeatedly because of Kenji taking everything from him. He wouldn't have lost hope otherwise." Before she could say anything else, I turned and walked away. Anyway, I was going to die, so I didn't want to listen to any more of these meaningless words. After all, saying sorry now wouldn't help. At that moment, I suddenly thought about using gas to commit suicide. It was a good idea, and I could take the whole family with me. Chapter 6. In the middle of the night, I quietly went downstairs. I was about to turn on the gas when Kenji suddenly opened the door, startling me. He walked over, looked at me, and suddenly said, "You're trying to fake a suicide again to make big sister and second sister feel sorry for you, Daisuke. I've been observing you all day, waiting for you to try this trick again." With that, he turned on the lights, picked up a kitchen knife, and waved it in front of me. He said, "Guess what would happen if big sister and second sister saw me get cut by this knife?" "Hey," I sneered. This was such a cliché plotline. I had seen too many times in melodramatic novels. It always made me grind my teeth in frustration. Now I could finally fight back. I grabbed the knife from his hand and made a cut across my own arm. I said, "How about it? 1 cut each." Kenji stared at me, shocked, like I was a lunatic. I said, "Some people fear death, but I don't." As I spoke, I turned on the stove, then doused it with water. I said, "How about we die together here today?" He screamed in terror. "Big sister, second sister, help. Daisuke is trying to kill me." I sneered, "Useless." I glanced at him dismissively and continued closing the window. Since my arm was wounded, blood was spilling everywhere. When Emi and Anya rushed in, they saw a kitchen covered in blood, my injured arm, and Kenji sitting on the floor crying. Emi quickly turned off the stove. She said, "Hurry, big sister, Daisuke is injured. We need to get him to the hospital." Anya froze for a moment, not coming over, but instead pulling Kenji up. She said, "He was planning to turn on the gas and kill us. Why are you still trying to save him?" "Big sister." Emi was furious. She said, "It's because we treated Daisuke so badly that he ended up like this. Think about it. How have we treated Daisuke all these years?" I was losing too much blood and everything in front of me was blurring, but I thought what Emi said was pretty right, and I almost wanted to compliment her on being so spot on. Chapter 7. I still hadn't died. When I woke up again, I was back in the hospital. The wound on my arm had been bandaged up. Emi looked at me with concern and said, "Daisuke, don't do anything stupid again. If something's bothering you, tell me." But Anya rushed over and slapped me hard. She said, "If Kenji hadn't called us, were you really planning to murder us, Daisuke? How can you be so evil?" I was dizzy from the slap and my ears were ringing. The next moment, with a loud smack, I slapped her back. I believe in settling scores right then and there. That's just my character. Otherwise, I wouldn't be a man. Anya's face swelled up from my slap. Her face turned dark with anger. She said, "Emi, look closely. This is the brother you're protecting. He even dares to hit his own big sister." Emi looked at me with a complex expression and said, "Daisuke, you really went too far. I've always stood by you, and you're still so stubborn." Hey, I thought she was supposed to be the clear-headed one, but turns out she was just as stupid. I laughed and said, "Did I ever ask you to stand by me?" "Daisuke." Emi raised her voice. "Emi," I shouted back. I said, "Is this a competition of who can shout louder? Fine, let's go for it." In my original world, I was nearly driven to the edge by work pressure with my boss, pushing me to the brink of collapse. Now I could finally snap. I picked up a fruit knife nearby and slashed it across my neck. I said, "Let's see who can go crazier, shall we?" Chapter 8. Warm blood dripped down my neck and onto the white sheets, blossoming into plum-like stains. The two people in front of me were as white as ghosts. "Quick, call the doctor." Emi spoke in panic. Anya rushed over, pressing her hands against my neck, her voice trembling as she said, "Daisuke, you're really a madman." Suddenly, I remembered when the original owner was a child. Back then, Emi and Anya both really liked him. They'd take him to eat KFC on weekends, bring him to play the piano. He must have been very happy back then. But now both of his sisters spoke to him with harsh words. I once thought that death was easy, find a corner and die. But now, after trying to die over and over again, I still couldn't succeed. I was saved and lay in the hospital bed. My parents came to see me. My mother scolded me as soon as she saw me. Are you trying to die? Do you know you scared Kenji so badly that he's mentally broken? My father spat at me angrily. He said, how did I end up with a son like you? I really regret having you. They must have forgotten that in the past they treated the original owner like he was the best thing ever, but after adopting Kenji, they gave him everything, treating him like royalty. I actually felt bad for the original owner. His own sisters and parents were so kind to a stranger. I pulled the needle from my hand and smashed the vase on the table. I said, since you care so much about Kenji, then go accompany him. Why come see me? My parents froze, looking at me in fear as though I were a madman. Without saying a word, they left. Emmy and Anya came in again. Anya looked at the mess on the floor and disgustedly said to me, Daisuke, even though we're blood related, you're still not as sensible as Kenji. You're an adult, yet you're always threatening us with suicide. You're so useless. The words useless were the ones the original owner heard the most, and in the end they drove him to suicide. I actually felt sorry for him. He had a happy, wealthy family, but the author wrote him to a tragic end. After Anya left, Emmy stared at me for a long time before suddenly saying, when we were kids, you used to prank me all the time, and I thought you were so annoying. Now that we've grown up, I thought you'd understand. I even foolishly tried to move you with sibling love, but you still wouldn't listen. You keep threatening us with suicide over and over. If you really want to die, go find a place where no one will find you. Why is it that every time you try, we always end up discovering it? I couldn't help but laugh and said, all right, next time I won't let you find out. She was instantly choked up. After a long pause, she got up and left, her eyes filled with disappointment as she looked at me. Just as I was preparing to end it all, Rio appeared. Her eyes were red and she looked at me, saying, didn't you promise me you wouldn't die? We agreed to go to college together, didn't we? My heart skipped a beat, and I suddenly felt a pang of discomfort, but I knew this wasn't my emotion. Could it be the original owner's emotional feedback? I looked at Rio and softly said, Rio, you're a wonderful girl with a bright future. You don't need to waste your time on me. I'm just a useless person. I'll die sooner or later. She immediately retorted, you're not useless. She shook her head, crying, and handed me an envelope. On the pink envelope, the words love letter were written. She choked up as she said, I've liked you for a long, long time. I'm giving you this letter now because I'm afraid one day you'll leave me and I won't be able to give it to you. At that moment, my heart trembled violently. I slowly opened the envelope. Inside was, Daisuke, I don't believe in gods, but when I met you, I started to believe. You're my god. Every time I see you, I get lost in you. After reading the letter, my tears fell uncontrollably. She suddenly hugged me and said, please don't die. For a moment, I almost wanted to agree, but this was just the original owner's emotions. If I didn't die, could I return home? I fell into deep thought. People are selfish. I definitely had to think of myself first. Chapter 9 that night, as I was reading, my hand suddenly moved uncontrollably across the page. It wrote, please end your life. I froze. Was this written by the original owner to me? It continued, no matter what, my end is death. If I don't die, Rio won't start her new life, so please end this life where she can't find out. That way, you can go home and Rio can begin her new life. He wrote a lot more. Only then did I realize that he knew he was just an NPC in a book, bound to die sooner or later. Even though I had changed his ending that day, the ending in the book could not be reversed. In truth, he had already died, and now this was just the last vestige of his consciousness. If he didn't die, Rio would always remember him, but if he died, the author would change Rio's fate and let her start a new life. That was his agreement with the author. In the days that followed, Rio stayed by my side. She took me to watch the sunset and said there were many beautiful sights in this world. As long as I was alive, I could keep watching them. She also took me to eat a lot of delicious food. She said that life was about enjoying good food. She truly wanted the original owner to live on, but she didn't know that the original owner was already gone. Emmy and Anya hadn't visited me in a long time, as if they had given up on me, until one day Kenji came to find me. He looked at me with disdain and said, I knew you wouldn't dare to die. Everything you've done was just to make the older sisters feel sorry for you, right? It's just a tactic to gain sympathy. I can do it too. Just wait. I'll make sure you're completely kicked out of the Nakano family. I couldn't be bothered to respond to him. I just closed my eyes, thinking about how I could leave this world without Rio knowing. Rio went home that evening to care for her mother. Just as I was preparing to end it all, Emmy came to find me. She walked into the room, and her gaze didn't show much emotion. She simply said, "Tomorrow is your birthday. I've talked with Anya, and we decided to celebrate it for you. Tomorrow, we won't hold the past against you. From now on, just stay well." Hearing her say this, I was truly surprised. I even felt happy for the original owner. But he would never see it again. He would never see his two older sisters begin to treat him better, because after he wrote to me that day, he had completely disappeared. All right. I readily agreed to her, because I wanted to say goodbye to them tomorrow, so they would all remember how Daisuke died forever. Chapter 10 today is my birthday. Rio sent me a happy birthday message early in the morning. I put on a white suit and prepared to go up to the rooftop for the birthday party my family had arranged for me. Kenji also wore a white suit. I recognized his set. It was from a more expensive brand than mine. How laughable. They said we should all be good from now on. But deep down, they still favored Kenji. No wonder the original owner was driven to suicide. On the rooftop, everyone was holding champagne and laughing. When my parents saw me and Kenji, they quickly called Kenji over. They started introducing him to all the notable figures, paving the way for his future. Didn't matter whether he passed the entrance exam or not, because no matter what, my parents would make sure he was well provided for in the future. Meanwhile, I, their biological son, had nothing. "Daisuke, come here." Emmy suddenly called me. I walked over and she quietly said to me, "Apologize to the eldest sister and parents today, then they won't blame you anymore. You've indeed done a lot of things that have made us upset recently." I replied, "Okay." Hearing me agree so quickly, she looked a bit relieved and said, "I knew you still have a good heart. Sooner or later the second sister will change her temper too." Hey, that's just how she is in the plot. She would always slap the original owner and then give him a piece of candy, but would never completely change herself. As the birthday party reached its climax, I went up on stage to make a speech. Actually, I was planning to say a few words for the original owner and then drink poison, but unexpectedly, at this moment, Kenji suddenly ran to the edge of the railing. His eyes were red and he looked pitiful as he spoke to the crowd. "There's something I've always wanted to say to everyone." He looked at my parents and two sisters. He said, "Mom, Dad, and sisters, I'm adopted and I know I'll never be as good as Daisuke. That's why in this family I've always been meek, thinking that if I didn't cause any trouble, I wouldn't be bullied." My mom quickly asked, "Kenji, has Daisuke been bullying you?" Anya also spoke. "Kenji, if there's anything, just say it. If Daisuke really did something, the eldest sister will make things right." I just stood there on stage, watching his performance. Emmy didn't say a word the entire time. Kenji glanced at everyone, wiped his tears, and said, "Daisuke has always been secretly hitting me and warning me not to tell anyone. I keep wondering what I did wrong to be treated like this. I can't understand it, so today I'm going to kill myself." With that, he prepared to climb over the railing. The crowd gasped in shock, and my mom rushed over to kneel on the ground. She shouted, "Kenji, don't do something foolish. Mom will help you. I'll teach Daisuke a lesson, okay?" Kenji said, "But Mom, Daisuke is your biological son. I'm just an adopted one. I'm destined to be bullied by Daisuke for the rest of my life." My mom replied, "Then let's kick Daisuke out of the house. That way he won't threaten you anymore." Anya suddenly spoke, walking over with a compassionate look. I found it extremely ridiculous. So this is the self-harm tactic Kenji mentioned. I slowly stepped down from the stage and walked toward Kenji. Emmy also spoke up. "Eldest sister, parents, are you just going to believe Kenji's one-sided words? There's no evidence. Besides, Daisuke is your biological son. No matter what, you can't just listen to an outsider's word." Kenji said, "Second sister, I know you don't like me, but at this moment Daisuke is clearly in the wrong. Are you really going to turn a blind eye?" Kenji looked at Emmy. I couldn't be bothered to listen to them argue. I went straight to Kenji, grabbed his hand, and said, "Come on, let's jump together." With that, I began pulling him toward the railing. Kenji screamed in terror, and to my surprise, this grown man actually cried. Anya screamed, "Are you crazy, Daisuke? Let go of Kenji." Anya glared at me with anger. My mom shouted, "Let go of my son, you beast." My mom was crying uncontrollably. To be honest, it's not easy for the original owner to have survived in this family for so long. I said, "Why are you crying? I'll go with you to die." I pulled Kenji toward the edge. Kenji shouted, "Don't. Please." My mom knelt on the floor. Kenji was so scared that he trembled all over and actually wet himself on the spot. I sneered and said, "Weren't you so brave earlier? Why are you wetting yourself now?" I grabbed his clothes and kept pushing him forward. His body was half out of the railing. He begged, "Please, please don't push me down." Kenji kept begging. I thought of a plan and smiled. "Fine, I won't push you. But now you have to tell everyone the truth. Did I ever hit you?" I gave him a shove. "Hurry up and say it." He replied, "I'll say it. I'll say it. Daisuke never hit me." As soon as he said that, Anya spoke in confusion. She asked, "Kenji, then why did you say that earlier?" Kenji replied, Because I wanted you all to kick Daisuke out. I threatened him. Keep talking. Had I known he would say that, I would have dragged him to the edge much earlier." Kenji's urine dripped onto the floor. His voice was trembling as he said, "I was just jealous of Daisuke because he has everything. That's why I said that. I'm sorry, everyone. It's all my fault." I pressed further. "What about everything else? What about the entrance exam?" He stayed silent for a moment before replying. "The exam was all planned by me. I wanted to make you all hate Daisuke." At that moment, everyone finally understood. My parents and Emi's eyes widened. Anya, with a look of disappointment, said, "Kenji, I've always believed in you. How could you do this?" My parents said, "Kenji, we always thought you were a good child." Emi nodded and said, "I told you, don't jump to conclusions without evidence." Chapter 11. Kenji asked, "Can you let me go now?" He looked at me. I chuckled softly and then shoved him away. I climbed over the railing myself. "Don't." Emi rushed over. She said, "Daisuke, listen to second sister. We wronged you in the past. It was our fault. Don't do something foolish." My mom looked at me for a long time before saying, "Daisuke, I'm sorry. I've misunderstood you all along." I then looked at Anya. Her eyes were red and her face was full of guilt. "Sorry, little brother." Everyone felt guilty, but the original owner would never see it. "What a pity," I said. "If apologies were enough, then no one in this world would ever want to end their life." With that, I closed my eyes and fell forward. Just when I thought I was about to die, Emi grabbed my hand. Anya also rushed over and grabbed me. Both of them had tears streaming down their faces. Emi choked, "I'm sorry, little brother. I won't be so harsh on you anymore. I actually knew I was wrong long ago. I feel especially guilty about what happened with the poison, but thankfully you didn't die." Anya cried, "Yes, Daisuke. Family fights are normal. Once we've talked it through, we can live a good life from now on." I struggled, trying to break free. I said, "Let go of me. I don't want sisters like you." In the end, I couldn't die and they pulled me back up. Then they locked me in a bedroom and removed all the sharp objects. I suddenly regretted being so impulsive and doing this during the birthday party. I should have found a quiet, secluded place, otherwise I wouldn't have been locked up by them now. What about Rio? I wonder how she's doing now. But before I die, I don't want to see her, otherwise I won't have the chance to leave this world. I hope that just as the original owner said, after I die, she will be able to live a new life. I heard that Kenji was kicked out, but my parents still had feelings for him and were secretly giving him money. What a shame, but I don't care anymore. At least I cleared the original owner's name. Emi came to see me. She gave me a watch. This was a watch the original owner really liked, but she used to buy them only for Kenji. She said, "I'm sorry." Second sister thought about it for a long time and truly understands her mistakes. She looked at me with bitterness. "These years have been hard for you, Daisuke. My sister and I always misunderstood you." I didn't want to say anything, so I threw the watch into the trash bin. She froze and tears fell onto the back of my hand. She said, "I've been thinking about our childhood recently. You always teased me back then. It was because you liked me, right?" I froze and thought back to the plot. That was indeed the reason. The original owner liked Emi more because she was the only one who would listen to him seriously, the only one who wouldn't report him for playing games. He really liked the second sister, but being young, he didn't know how to express it, so he kept teasing her, thinking that would make her happy. She said, "If you don't answer, I'll just take it as you admitting it." Emmy cried out in joy. She said, I didn't understand before and I used to argue with you, but now I understand everything. Second sister apologizes to you. I hope you won't hate me, but if you still can't stand me, that's fine too. I can stay away from you in the future. Chapter 12. My parents came to see me as well. My mom looked at me, remained silent for a long time, and awkwardly said, Be good. And then that faint son, that barely escaped her lips. If only the original owner could hear that. Anya was the last one to come find me. She personally cooked me a meal and brought it over. She said, Eldest sister was the one who went too far. I'm not asking for your forgiveness, but I don't want you to die because of me. The world is still so beautiful. You're still young, and you can do so many things. Please live on. I replied, Get lost. Just seeing her annoyed me. I would never forget the first day I came here, when she beat me so badly that I was covered in bruises. She was even more vicious than Emmy. At least Emmy still had a heart. I'm sorry, she cried, her voice choked. She said, I truly regret how I treated you back then. I'm not human. I actually hurt my own brother, Daisuke. I'll make it up to you from now on. But some things can never be made up for, like the original owner's death. He's gone, never coming back. I managed to escape, knocked out the servant, and ran away. To my surprise, as soon as I got out, I ran into Rio. She rushed over and hugged me tightly, saying, I've been waiting for you. She told me that she had found out online that I had tried to commit suicide that day and had been trying to find me. She knew I had been locked up, so she had been waiting at the door for me. She said, Daisuke, you can't die now. Everything is clear now. We can go out of town and attend university. There's only 3 days left before school starts. Okay, I agreed to her. I really wanted to tell her the harsh truth, but after thinking for a while, I decided not to say anything. After all, I wasn't from this world, so I wouldn't interfere in these matters. Rio took me to her house, and her mother made me a big meal. She kept telling me, We're only 18. The future is full of possibilities. Once we go to university, we can go shopping on weekends, visit amusement parks, and do many happy and meaningful things. The original owner must have dreamed of such a simple, peaceful life. Unfortunately, he was just a pitiful NPC. After dinner, I used going to the bathroom as an excuse and left a bank card on the sink. It was the original owner's savings, and I decided to leave it to Rio. Then I climbed out of the window and escaped. I wanted to find a quiet place to end my life, but I was kidnapped by Kenji. He dragged me to a warehouse, strapped a bomb to me, and then had someone bind him up and put a bomb on him as well. He smiled at me and said, Daisuke, I'm going to make you understand that your family cares about me more. He was completely deranged. I couldn't be bothered to deal with him. After all, we were both going to die, so dying in an explosion seemed just as good. Emmy and the others arrived soon. When they saw Kenji and me, their eyes were full of shock. Kenji pitifully called out, Eldest sister, second sister, please save me. Anya rushed over, but stopped halfway. There was a sign next to her that read, Only one person can be saved. If one is saved, the other will die in the explosion. Emmy spoke urgently. Eldest sister, we should save Daisuke. But Anya fell silent, furrowing her brow as if deciding who to save. I chuckled. I thought she really had repented. I said, Don't save me. I was planning to die anyway. Daisuke, we will save you. Emmy hurriedly spoke and walked toward me. Kenji cried out, his voice choked, Second sister, eldest sister. I knew I was always an outsider. Anya said, Kenji, stop crying. Daisuke is our brother. We can only save him. After saying that, Anya also started walking toward me. At that moment, Kenji suddenly broke free from the ropes and rushed over, stabbing a knife into my heart. He said, You all love him so much? Then I'll make sure he dies. Ah! Emmy screamed and held me tightly. Daisuke, don't scare me. Anya's face turned pale and she kicked Kenji away. She said, Little brother, I'm taking you to the hospital. Stay awake. Please hold on. I couldn't hear what came after because I was already dead. I arrived in an entirely dark space. A voice told, Host, you have fulfilled the original owner's wish. You can go back now. I asked, What about the original owner? The system. He and Rio will meet in a different parallel world. They will love each other and live happily together. Wishing you a smooth journey ahead. I replied, Thank you. Just as I finished speaking, a light flashed, and I returned to the original world. Outside the window, the traffic was bustling, and the employees in the office were frantically making phone calls. I knew my corporate life as a wage slave was about to start again. Extra. After Daisuke's death, Emi shaved her head and became a nun. She could never forgive herself because she believed that it was her fault that Daisuke died. If she hadn't suggested to their parents to adopt Kenji, Kenji wouldn't have lived in the Nakano family and Daisuke wouldn't have died. She would spend the rest of her life in regret. Kenji was sentenced to death and imprisoned. Anya developed depression and she too felt guilty. She often wondered if the outcome would have been different if she hadn't favored Kenji. If only she had seen Kenji's true nature sooner. But there were no ifs in this world. She spent every day in her room, staring blankly out the window. She wished for a do-over, hoping that this time the three siblings could live in harmony. Extra 2. Rio went to university in the South City. She was very happy, though she didn't quite know why. She only remembered that she had made some kind of promise before coming. She walked into her dorm room with her backpack, took out a card, and said to her, "I'm very rich. I'll treat you to a meal." She didn't know where the card came from, only that her mom had found it in the bathroom. The card wasn't her name, and the password was even written on it. Who wouldn't want money? So she kept it. This card had a whole million on it. She planned to use it to do many, many things. One evening, when they went out for dinner, she met a bald woman. She looked at the woman for a long time, but couldn't recognize her. The woman looked familiar, as if they had met before. "Rio." The woman's voice was hoarse. She said, "I'm Daisuke's second sister. I saw the confession letter in his room. You like him, don't you?" Immediately, Rio froze. Daisuke? The name was so familiar, but she couldn't remember who he was. Emi took Rio to a nearby cafe. After seeing the confession letter in Daisuke's room, she realized that this girl, Rio, existed in Daisuke's life. It turned out that her younger brother had someone he liked. In her memory, Daisuke had always been a rebellious boy. All he ever did was bully Kenji. But now she learned that her younger brother had many sides she never knew about. Rio sat across from Emi, listening to her talk about Daisuke. She even saw his photo. This boy was really kind, excellent, and had gotten into the same university as her. She felt a strange familiarity, so familiar in fact. Suddenly, many memories flashed in her mind. She remembered everything about Daisuke. She whispered, "Daisuke, he's the boy I love most." Rio told Emi, "Each and every one of you is responsible for his death." Emi froze and tears began to fall from her eyes. She choked up and said, "I'm sorry. I know I wronged him, which is why I'll spend my whole life atoning. I just wanted to learn about his past from you. I wanted to listen." But Rio shook her head. "I won't tell you. I won't. You don't deserve to know. People who make mistakes don't deserve forgiveness." After saying that, Rio left. Just then, everything before her eyes suddenly turned black. When she opened her eyes again, she was back at her high school. A voice told her, "Welcome to the parallel world. This is the new beginning for you and Daisuke."